genomics and big data are transforming how we treat numerous conditions. How can we integrate these into drug development to combat challenging diseases like ALS and neuromuscular disorders? Please welcome Michael Snyder, Professor and Chair, Department of Genetics, Director, Center for Genomics and Personalized Medicine, Stanford University.
We're in an incredibly exciting time in science now. You can collect data at a level that's never been possible. For example, we can sequence people's DNA. We can profile thousands of molecules out of people's blood and urine. We can collect information about their physiology using wearable devices. And in fact, I use 8 of these devices every day. You can see my 4 smartwatches here. Why are we doing all this? Well, by collecting data, we hope to understand what people's personal baselines look like and then detect disease early. So for example, we can see if you're getting ill by shifts in your patterns, either your molecular patterns, your changes in physiology from wearables. We also think genome sequencing is going to be super important for risk prediction. And in fact, we just had a recent paper out on ALS, finding 690 genes that are responsible, that seem to be responsible for some of the genetic underpinnings of the disease. And hopefully we'll turn that into risk predictions, meaning just from a genome sequence, we can predict who's at risk for ALS and who's not. And ultimately, I think all this data is going to be very, very powerful for, again, doing risk prediction, following people's health, and catching disease early. So genome sequencing itself is going to be very, very powerful. We're not too far away from the $100 genome, where everyone will be able to get their genomes sequenced. And then together with these new methods for disease risk prediction, a lot of which use artificial intelligence, machine learning, we'll be able to actually predict better who's at high risk for the disease. The challenges are to be able to make sure we can figure out the right treatment for the right person. Right now, a lot of that's trial and error, and I hope we'll be better predictive in the future. Complex diseases are rarely a single size fits all. Usually there are a multitude of diseases. Something like ALS probably involves several different forms of the disease, and different treatments are likely to work better for different people. And so we're in a world where we can probably figure this out now much better. At least we can see who's responding. We need to couple this with valuable methods for making new drugs to combat these chronic diseases, these very problematic diseases like ALS. And I think we're in a world where it's now much faster to be able to develop drugs. So we hope that this will accelerate the whole science as well. So I think the combination of using big data to be able to, again, manage people's health, try and keep people healthier, in combination with our new technologies for being able to better design new drugs. And I think data is also going to be very valuable for being able to follow whether treatments are working or not. If we can profile people at a much higher level, we'll be able to tell, who's improving, who's not. I think the other reason this is all very important is that a lot of this needs to be done at the personal level. So rather than just trying to do one treatment for everybody, I think in the future, we're going to discover that complex diseases like ALS, they're really a multitude of diseases, and actually different people will respond differently to different treatments. And we can follow this for the first time using these deep data profiles on people. One of the challenges is getting the right markers for these different forms of the disease. I think this is where data-driven medicine will be very, very powerful because we'll be able to see who's better responding and who's not if we have better measures of people's physiology. And again, I think big data and wearable devices are going to be very, very powerful for that. I think we're still, we're better at making drugs. I think, though, getting the right drugs for the right person, that is still going to take quite a bit of effort. But I think we are much faster at making new drugs. I think the awareness actually of ALS and the fact that it is such a debilitating disease is going to help drive a lot of the industry towards trying to make better drugs and hopefully more effective drugs. We're also in a world where you can design drugs better using molecular modeling systems that hasn't been possible before. And I think that should also help us quite a bit. So I'm very optimistic that data-driven medicine will be powerful for keeping people healthy, catch disease early, and then ideally being able to treat disease at a personal level that's never been possible before. And ultimately, though, I think the combination of all these things, the genetics, other forms of data collection, and personal drug design could be very, very powerful for actually getting more effective treatments, again, for these very debilitating diseases. And so I think we're in for a very bright future, and it's all going to be driven by big data.